Hi, my name is Victoria Williams, and today I'm going to be talking about the town of Lowell in Massachusetts and some interventions that their downtown area could look into implementing. So to start, we have this area of downtown Lowell here, right by the Merrimack River, that I'm going to be focusing on in my presentation. Here we have a land use document that's sort of exploring what different pieces of the land are used for. Up here, we can see that the area we're going to be focusing on has a lot of industrial space, has a lot of commercial space, and some multifamily housing, but majoritively commercial and industrial. So this is important to know, especially seeing Lowell's history as a mill town. So my first intervention idea is to change a lot of this vacant space that is above commercial spaces into residential space. So this means allowing different groups to live here, live in this downtown, and therefore activate this downtown, participate in the economy in this downtown. This would mean renting spaces for single families, for multifamilies, affordable housing, bringing in all these different demographics, all these different families, big and small, old and young, of different economic standpoints to really just bring diversity into this downtown in Lowell. Continuing on with that, to increase this accessibility and to add access to this downtown, we really need to move from auto-centric to increasing walkability and pedestrian-friendly infrastructure. So here we see that the sidewalks are not the best, like they're not maintained as well as they could be. So sort of thinking about ways to maybe add natural life here and just be more inviting for pedestrians, people who cannot afford to rely on cars for their transportation, to rely on parking, which can be expensive. Here we can also see that there's room for adding more benches, adding lighting. People who feel vulnerable at night might not feel like they have access to walking around the city at night. So this is one way to look into helping alleviate that issue. Adding benches can help vulnerable communities, maybe who need to take a break while walking, or people who just want to sit down and take in the sights. Adding activity to this downtown and also accessibility through both of these measures of infrastructure to help different groups of people as well. I feel like they can be involved in the downtown space in Lowell. Moving on here, we can see that there's obviously a lack of crosswalks. This is obviously also going to bar pedestrian activity from feeling more welcoming, more accessible in the downtown Lowell area. And all you really need for that intervention is some paint. Um, Here, I would also like to point out encouraging pop-ups, encouraging local entrepreneurs who are trying to get into the business sphere to really take up a bunch of these vacant commercial spaces. I love how this pop-up down here really brings their store wares to the city view. So if you're walking around, you'll really be taken in, maybe more inspired to spend your money here. This one, you can see how the auto-centric sort of nature can even harm these hopes of being in the open storefront. So thinking about ways we can sort of evade that as well. Another intervention I was thinking to help sort of decrease this autocentric culture is also implementing more pedestrian wayfinding. Here we can see it's very focused on cars, whether that be parking or getting to the highway. So sort of highlighting more so the history of Lowell. There's a lot of beautiful buildings, seeing as this was an old mill city. So sort of pointing these out to pedestrians, giving them different sightseeing spots that they could go to will invite more activity on foot in the downtown area. Going on with this history, because of the industry, there are a lot of immigrant families in Lowell, 50% white, but there's a good amount of African Americans, Asians, and different minority groups. Here we can see that. And I would love to see them sort of engaged in these community spaces. Here we have the Lowell Folk Live Festival, and using spaces like these, which are a bit more empty, a bit more vacant, to perhaps showcase art from different communities, inviting in these communities, having more low-scale event examples like this one to the right, could really just bring in space, bring in welcoming, and make everyone feel like they are able to be a part of this downtown. Thank you.